It happened under a wash of festival lights as the music pulsed like a second heartbeat through the crowd. Liam, 20 years old and a graphic design student, had waited years for the right moment, or maybe just for one moment where fear didn't win. That moment came in the middle of a spring concert, with his best friend Jordan standing inches away, laughing with his eyes closed and arms thrown skyward. Liam leaned in, his voice barely audible over the speakers. "I'm gay." Jordan looked at him and smiled. A wide, almost goofy smile that Liam had known since they were 12. Then he pulled Liam into a quick, brotherly hug and yelled over the noise, "You think I care? Dude, I'm your best friend. That doesn't change." And just like that, a weight Liam had carried for most of his life slipped off his shoulders. The fear of rejection, of ruining something sacred, evaporated in that moment. For the first time, he believed that the person who mattered most had seen all of him and still stayed. They danced. They laughed until they couldn't breathe. They split a basket of fries on the curb after the show, their feet aching and their cheeks flushed from joy. Liam walked home with a quiet sense of peace, whispering to himself, "Maybe it's safe now, maybe I don't have to hide." But safety, he would learn, is not always real. Sometimes it's just a smile waiting to break. 2 days later, Liam began to notice the shift. Friends from their usual group stopped responding to messages. One unfollowed him. In their shared class, a girl he'd known for years moved seats when he sat down. Whispers followed him in the hallway. Muffled giggles cut short when he walked past. The truth hit when someone forwarded him a screenshot from a group chat. Jordan had written, "Liam finally said it. Kinda saw it coming, you though. Dude's been sleeping over for years." Liam stared at the message in disbelief. The same person who had hugged him, who said it didn't change anything, had turned his secret into a punchline. He texted Jordan that night, "I thought you accepted me." Jordan didn't respond, just left it on read. The silence was worse than any insult. Liam sat in his dorm that night, staring at the ceiling, replaying everything, the lights, the hug, the fries, wondering how someone could go from comfort to betrayal without flinching. The truth wasn't just that Jordan had told, it was that he had smiled while doing it, and somehow that smile hurt more than any slur Liam had feared his whole life. But this isn't a story about being broken. It's about what comes after. If you've ever trusted the wrong person with your truth, if you've ever mistaken someone's silence for safety, stay. Liam's story isn't over, and maybe neither is yours. Tap that like if you've ever had to reclaim your voice after betrayal. Who was the first person you trusted with your story? Subscribe to Heart Stories, because the most powerful stories are the ones that fight back. Liam stopped wearing his favorite hoodie to class. It had been a gift from Jordan on his birthday, forest green with their school crest embroidered on the sleeve. He used to wear it like a second skin, but now every time he caught a glimpse of it in his mirror, it felt like a joke he wasn't in on. The group chat he used to scroll through between classes had gone silent. Not because people had stopped talking, but because he was no longer in it. One day someone forwarded him a screenshot. A meme had been made using one of his old Instagram photos, with the caption, "When your bro turns out to be your biggest fangirl." Underneath were laughing emojis. The post had been liked by Jordan. Liam stared at the screen, his thumb hovering over the block button. But he didn't press it. Not yet. Blocking meant finality, and part of him still wanted to believe this was all a misunderstanding. That maybe Jordan had slipped up. Maybe he was trying to be funny and just didn't realize how much it would cost. But that kind of hope, Liam would learn, is a slow poison. He started eating lunch in the design lab. It was the one place where he could plug in his headphones, drown out the rest of the world, and lose himself in color and form. He began working on his final semester project earlier than expected, a digital portrait series exploring isolation. He called it Uninvited. One afternoon, his professor, Herrera, walked past his workstation. She paused when she saw the half-finished sketch on his screen, a boy in grayscale, sitting in a crowd of full-color silhouettes who all faced away. "Powerful," she said softly. Liam didn't look up. He kept shading the folds in the boy's shirt. Ms. Herrera waited a moment, then asked, "Is he invisible because no one sees him or because no one wants to?" Liam stopped drawing, his shoulders trembled. When he finally turned to face her, his eyes were glossy. "No one wants to," he whispered. She nodded. "Then maybe it's time," he drew himself into the center. That night, Liam tried texting Jordan one last time. "Why did you do it?" There was no reply, just the quiet acknowledgement that their friendship, or whatever version of it had existed, was over. But Jordan wasn't done talking about Liam. Rumors spread like ink in water. At parties, Jordan would joke that Liam had made it a big deal. He told people he'd been super chill and that Liam was obsessed with attention. He told mutual friends that he'd been the victim, that Liam's coming out had made things awkward for him, and he didn't know how to handle it. Some people believed him. Others stayed silent, which to Liam felt just the same. Meanwhile, Liam kept drawing. He filled page after page with faceless crowds and shadowed figures, always keeping one boy at the center. Sometimes that boy stood on a hill, sometimes he was curled up in a corner, and sometimes he floated, disconnected from the ground, the people, the noise, untethered. Then, one morning, Liam walked past a table on campus and overheard someone say, if he wanted to stay private, maybe he shouldn't have told Jordan in public. Kind of asking for it, no? Liam didn't stop walking, but his grip on his sketchbook tightened. He wasn't angry. Not yet. Anger would come later. For now, what he felt was something colder. Erasure. His name had become a whisper. His truth, a story retold without him. He'd thought coming out would mean freedom, but now it felt like exile. Ms. Herrera noticed the shift in his work. One day after class, she asked if he planned to submit anything for the school's annual art exhibition. Liam shook his head. Not this year. She didn't press, but the next week, Liam found one of his sketches, a crumpled sheet he'd thrown away, neatly pressed and tacked to the wall of the studio. Underneath, a sticky note read, "They can't cut you out of your own story unless you let them." It was in her handwriting. That evening, Liam opened his laptop. He pulled up a blank canvas and began again. This time, the boy wasn't in grayscale. 3 weeks before the art exhibit, Liam walked into the design lab earlier than usual. He brought with him a flash drive, a thermos of cold coffee, and a decision. He no longer needed permission to exist. The boy in his new digital portrait stood tall, still alone, still surrounded by backs turned, but his shadow stretched past them, climbing over the shoulders of those who ignored him. There were no faces on the crowd. But the boy, he was rendered in sharp detail. Jawline clenched, fingers curled around a sketchbook, eyes glowing with something close to defiance. Liam titled the piece Uninvited. Ms. Herrera found it on his desk that afternoon. She didn't say a word, just nodded and uploaded it into the exhibit submission folder with a quiet smile. Word spread across campus that the annual exhibit was shaping up to be raw this year. Flyers went up. Departments started sharing previews. Liam's piece was listed anonymously by his request, but a few classmates recognized the art style. It was unmistakably his. And slowly, the buzz began. One evening, Jordan walked into the student union and noticed a group huddled around a poster. He leaned in and his smirk faltered. There, printed in high contrast, was Liam's work. The grayscale crowd, the glowing figure, the title in bold. Uninvited. Jordan laughed, loud and dismissive, and muttered something about drama queens with a stylus. But his voice was strained, his jaw too tight. As the exhibition approached, Liam retreated further into himself. He skipped classes, avoided the quad, and only emerged when the lab was empty. But something inside him felt different. Not braver, not yet, but steadier. As if by putting his pain on canvas, he'd made room in his chest to breathe. He didn't tell anyone he was attending the show. Not Ms. Herrera, not even his roommate. He figured he'd walk in, see his work, and leave before anyone noticed. But that wasn't what happened. The night of the exhibit, the gallery was packed. Students, professors, even a few local artists roamed the space, sipping cheap sparkling cider and whispering behind their programs. At the far end, mounted on the wall under a halo of white light, was Uninvited. Liam stood in the corner, hidden behind a pillar. He watched as a group of students stopped in front of the piece. They didn't speak, just stared. One girl's eyes welled up. Someone whispered, "That's him, isn't it?" Then a boy in a gray hoodie stepped closer. Jordan. He stared at the piece for a long time, his expression unreadable. Then he laughed, soft and bitter, and turned to the group beside him. "I mean, come on, it's not even that deep." But no one laughed with him. They looked at him, really looked, for the first time. One of the girls stepped away. The guy in the beanie frowned. Jordan's smirk faltered. That was the moment Liam stepped out. He walked slowly, every footstep a thunderclap in his ears, until he was standing beside his own work. People began to turn. Conversations slowed. Jordan looked at him, eyes wide, the grin finally gone. Liam didn't say anything. He didn't have to. Underneath the piece, a new card had been placed by Ms. Herrera. It read, "This is what betrayal looks like when it wears a smile." A hush spread through the room. Someone clapped just once, then another. It wasn't loud, but it was enough. Jordan turned to leave. As he did, a voice stopped him. "Elijah, from Media Studies," the guy in the beanie said, stepping forward. "You told me you were proud of Liam. You told me he was your best friend." Jordan stiffened. "Yeah, well, people change." "No," Elijah said, "you did." The room held its breath. Liam took one step forward. His voice, when it came, was low but clear. "You didn't betray me the moment you told them I'm gay," he said. "You betrayed me when you smiled first." And with that, he walked away. Not back into the shadows, but straight toward the light pooling at the center of the gallery, where Ms. Herrera stood waiting with proud, tear-rimmed eyes. In the days after the exhibit, Liam became a name on campus, not for being the quiet gay kid or the one who'd stopped showing up to group projects, but for being the artist behind Uninvited. The piece had been shared on the university's official Instagram page and quickly spread beyond the student body. Comments flooded in from alumni, from other queer students, from people Liam had never met. "This isn't just art, this is testimony." Whoever drew this didn't just survive something, they understood it. What started as a silent portrait became a megaphone, and Jordan couldn't hide from it. The first to confront him was Angela from the Queer Alliance. She approached him during a campus mixer and asked, with all the calm of a sharpened blade, "Did you really tell people Liam was gay before he came out publicly?" Jordan scoffed, fake laughing. "I didn't tell anyone, I just confirmed it." Angela blinked slowly. "That's not confirmation, that's betrayal. And we don't welcome traitors." He turned away, cheeks burning, but eyes followed him wherever he went. The whispers he'd once used like arrows now turned toward him. Quieter, sharper. The Communications Club, where Jordan had been vice president, held a vote the next week to revoke his leadership role. It passed almost unanimously. He tried to act unfazed, posted old photos with captions like, "Can't cancel the truth." But the likes dwindled, the comments dried up. People he'd once called friends stopped replying to his texts. Meanwhile, Liam received an email from a professor in the arts department asking if he'd consider showcasing Uninvited in a regional gallery in the city. His first reaction was to delete it, but Mrs. Herrera found out and called him into her office. "You think this ends with one gallery?" she asked. "Liam, I've taught for 25 years. I've never seen a piece move through a campus like that. People didn't just look at your work, they saw themselves in it. And more importantly, they saw you." Liam didn't respond right away. He kept glancing at the framed certificate on her wall, the one that read, "Create where you are not yet welcome." "Is that why you're still here?" he finally asked. She smiled. "I've always been here. I just had to build a space before I could invite others in." He agreed to the gallery. At the same time, whispers reached Liam about someone who'd defended him after the exhibit, someone unexpected. Elijah. They'd shared a few classes, barely more than nods and quiet hallway exchanges. But it turned out Elijah had stood up during a class discussion while Jordan sat frozen and said, "Trust isn't earned by pretending to care. It's proven when you protect someone, even after they stop looking." Elijah had never said he was queer, had never even talked much, but now he was speaking, loudly. Liam found him sitting by the sculpture garden one afternoon and sat down beside him. The wind was cold, but the space between them felt warm. "You didn't have to say anything," Liam said. Elijah shrugged. "I didn't, until I saw myself in that sketch." They didn't talk about what that meant. Not then, not yet. But the silence between them wasn't empty. It was safe. That weekend, the campus newspaper released an op-ed titled, "When Friendship is Weaponized, the Quiet Harm of Outing Someone." It quoted Liam's exhibit card and included testimony from other students who had once confided in Jordan and now felt betrayed. Jordan responded with a long Instagram story about how everyone makes mistakes and some people are just too sensitive. He even posted a blurry screenshot of a meme he hadn't made but had once shared with the caption, "What, I can't joke now?" It didn't go well. That same night, posters appeared around the media building with his quote printed in bold, "It's not even that deep." And underneath in red, "Then why is everyone drowning in it?" He tore them down, all of them. But more appeared the next day. Liam wasn't behind it. Neither was Elijah. It didn't matter who did it. The point was clear. The crowd had turned not into a mob, but into a mirror. Jordan couldn't control the reflection anymore. Liam watched it all quietly. He didn't gloat. He didn't screenshot Jordan's downfall. Instead, he worked on his next piece, a smaller canvas this time, just for him. It was a boy sitting on a rooftop, looking at stars made of scraps. He titled it "Recovery." One morning, a plain white envelope appeared in Liam's campus mailbox. No name, just a folded piece of paper. Inside it read, "I lost the friend I thought I was, and maybe I deserve that. I hope you found one better." There was no signature, but the handwriting was Jordan's. Liam stared at it for a long time, then folded it back, placed it inside his sketchbook, and didn't look at it again. He didn't need an apology to move on. He'd already left the crowd behind. 2 weeks after Jordan's silent letter, life on campus shifted into spring. The courtyard trees began to bloom. Students filled benches with textbooks and coffee, and the gallery removed Uninvited to make room for the next exhibit. But for Liam, something else bloomed quietly. Not closure, not quite, but a new presence. Caleb. He was Jordan's younger brother, a freshman in environmental design, always soft-spoken and usually invisible next to his popular sibling. They'd exchanged nods in passing before, polite glances in the cafeteria, nothing more. But this time, Caleb approached Liam at the campus cafe, backpack slung low, fingers fidgeting with the hem of his sleeve. "Hey," he said. "Got a minute?" Liam looked up, guarded. Caleb sat down before waiting for an answer. "I saw your piece at the exhibit. I stood in front of it for almost 10 minutes, he said, eyes flickering with a strange mix of guilt and admiration. "I think it hit harder because I recognize the expression." Liam raised an eyebrow. "You've been outed too?" Caleb shook his head. "No, not yet, but I'm tired of hiding in someone else's shadow." He pulled something from his bag, a folded sheet of sketch paper. It was a rough pencil drawing, a boy curled up beneath a rain cloud that took the shape of people laughing. "I made this," Caleb whispered. The night Jordan's meme went viral. Liam stared at it. It wasn't perfect, but it was raw, honest. The rain cloud looked all too familiar. Caleb looked up. "I guess what I'm trying to say is, thank you for being the first face I saw in the mirror that didn't make me feel broken." Liam's throat tightened. No applause, no spotlights. Just two boys sitting across from each other. One who'd lost a friend and another who might become something more than that. Over the next few weeks, they shared sketchbooks, stories, silences. Caleb wasn't loud. He didn't have to be. Liam had learned that real strength often comes in the form of someone willing to sit with you, not speak for you. They worked on a collaborative piece for Pride Month, a mural of mismatched shoes walking in different directions, but all on the same road. They called it the Walk Back. It was installed in the center quad with a plaque underneath. "Forgiveness is not a path to the past, it's a step toward the future." On the day of the mural unveiling, Jordan didn't show up. No messages. No glances from across the lawn. And Liam didn't need him to. Instead, Caleb stood beside him, a paint smudge on his cheek, holding a sketchbook in one hand and Liam's in the other. No secrets, no apologies borrowed or begged for. Just a quiet kind of trust. That evening, Liam posted a photo of the mural with a simple caption. "He left me in the crowd, but someone else found me in the quiet." The likes flooded in. So did a private message from a student Liam had never met. It read, "I haven't come out yet, but when I do, I hope someone sees me the way you saw yourself. Thank you for going first." Liam stared at the screen, the hum of the night around him soft and full. He didn't reply right away. He just smiled. Not for the crowd, not for closure, but for the part of him that had once been afraid he'd never be enough. He was. He still is. Have you ever trusted someone with your truth, only to be left standing alone? If Liam's journey reminded you of your own, or someone you know, share it below. You never know who might need that light. And if you believe real strength is choosing to show up after being erased, hit like, share this story, and subscribe to Heart Stories. The stories that heal us don't come from perfect people. They come from the ones who kept walking.